Until you lose some weight, get the hell away from me. You know? Are you on your 50 Twinkie a day habit now, or what? If you can't control your eating habits, Mark, what about your sexual habits? Where do they run to? Small children? Huh? Animals? What is it, small barnyard animals? What does it for you? Little boys? I told you I don't want to be videotaped by you.
Then why approach me on a public street?
Because I want you to get the hell out of here.
Eric Santiago, Public Relations and Program Manager. The purpose of this item is to recommend that the Downtown Development Board officially complete their participation in the work of the Downtown Coordination Committee. This will provide the public with a clear end to the DDB's participation in this project. CRA staff presented the results of this committee's meetings at the October DDB hearing. The three non-governmental groups, Amplify Clearwater, Downtown Clearwater Partnership, and Downtown Clearwater Merchant Association, have different missions and operating rules than the DDB, and formal participation by the DDB results in a more complicated meeting process. CRA staff will keep the DDB informed of future coordination meetings if board members would like to attend as individuals. We also recommend allocating time at the June 2022 board meeting to discuss any funding requests or new program ideas that the Downtown Coordination Committee may wish to work on with the DDB in the future.
If I understand what you just said, the DDB is not going to participate actively?
Yes, the DDB would no longer be participating. And
because of the logistical difficulties?
Yeah, and the three other groups, if they wish to continue, can continue or not continue, which we'll find out at the end of this month, how they want to proceed.
My understanding was that the original motivation for having this coordination was to have us all working in the same direction. So I'm just wondering what led to this, or
So after the last meeting, which was the coordinate at Collaborative Labs, now that the DDB brought them together, put them in the workshop, that was the big thing that we wanted to get out of them together. So now that they've gone through that process, we're going to ask them, what do you want next? So for that process, the DDB does not need to be in attendance for that. They will come back, though, in June and can provide an update.
I'm just curious, though, is if we were the ones that put this together, why is it discussed without our presence and excluding us as a conclusion when this is our initiative?
To stay closely involved with three of many groups that might ask you for funding. It may not necessarily be illegal, but it's definitely bad optics, okay? You are in a different position than they are in. You are a potential funder.
Yeah.
We don't want other groups looking at you and going, so how do we be, if they're actually in a group with these other three, how do we compete?
Yeah, I'm not disagreeing with any of that at all. I'm just wondering how, if the board itself, if the board set up this as an initiative, the elected board decided this, and the board is unaware of this change that's happened in our absence, it seems like either it was done administratively on our behalf or someone has excluded us. I'm not saying it's a bad thing. I'm just wondering how it took place without us being aware of it till right now.
Well, I can say in the past meetings, we've acknowledged the logistical meetings, both here as well as at the coordination meetings, the logistical challenges associated with us being present,
right.
And just even openly in those meetings been acknowledged, hey, because we're here, we have to follow all of these steps to get here, which presents a logistical. So it's not a new topic. Mm-hmm. I think Keenan and I didn't know that this was, other than seeing it on the agenda, that this was happening. But it's not a new topic that hasn't been discussed before in terms of the DDB's involvement causes logistical challenges.
Yeah, I don't disagree, and I don't disagree with the premise that maybe that you should proceed independently. I'm just a bit...
You're wondering why we got involved to begin with.
No, he's asking what
Okay.
the genesis is of getting off. Who brought this up?
How did this come
Is
about?
that staff?
Whose idea is it to...
It's really to publicly state because the questions of how the DDB is involved, so to publicly state the DDB is ending their involvement, but also that we still want these three groups to meet in a way that's not going to be complicated.
But who is it that's deciding that the DDB is ending their involvement? We're the DDB and we didn't know about it.
It is the CRA that is recommending to simplify this process by removing the DDB so that three nonprofit organizations can meet in a simplified manner, because it has been discussed that the DDB's involvement does add a layer of complication to the meetings.
Okay, and not to pick you as a target or anything, it just seems inappropriate that staff is telling the board that we've been booted out of the organization that we created. It just seems backwards to me that if it's a recommendation that you think it would simplify things or maybe make more sense or whatever, it should be recommended to us, and then we should make a decision whether we want to be in this participation with these other groups that we originated. It seems like we're being undercut in our authority or being bypassed on what's actually our responsibility, not the city staff or the CRA.
So it is the recommendation that we are making to simplify the process moving forward, but it is just meant to try to make things easier in the future.
But it's sort of announced as a fait accompli. We're not being asked whether we want to participate or whether we want
Mr.
to
Chairman, it
withdraw.
says recommend completion, so they're recommending, and if you like to, you could say no. That's very simple.
So anyway, my only point on this, whether it makes sense or not, or whether there's logistical difficulties, is not the point for my comments. My comments are that as the chairman of this board, I have to protect the board's prerogatives and its authority, and I don't want it undermined by other people making decisions on our behalf. If there's something to be changed, we should know about it, and it be presented as a proposal or an idea, not as something that someone has decided or made a firm recommendation on.
Paris, this was brought up at a prior meeting, and our
meeting
role
was
was
that?
brought up at a prior meeting, and it was discussed, and a recommendation was requested by at least one member of the board. And this is a recommendation. They're not telling you what to do, they're recommending.
Okay, it just
And it
sounded,
may have
it
been the
didn't
meeting-
sound like a
it may have been the
recommendation to me.
December
It
meeting.
sounded like someone made a decision and nobody on the board seemed to know about it. That's all I want. I don't want to beat it to death.
Well, Mr. Chair, I think I saw the pro of the ending this relationship from legal, and we did discuss earlier that it makes it awkward, but maybe we should do a discussion with the CRA team as far as what are the pros, what are the cons, and then make a decision and go have a resolution that should we disband this or not. Maybe that would be a little bit better way of.
That sounds fair. Yeah, it would be also useful to consult with the other members of this group and see what are their opinions. If they don't know anything about it at this point, they know as little as we do, then the other members need to be consulted to find out what their interest level is in continuing what we're doing.
Well, the three other groups were going to be invited to come back.
Invited by who to what?
Be invited by the CRA to come back for those three groups to discuss.
That's the part that I'm concerned with. It was the DDB that created this group, and it was under our auspices. It wasn't the CRA, and now we're being sort of told, you're no longer in it, we're doing it. And I'm just wondering why that is. That doesn't seem proper to me.
I don't
So,
think he knows the answer.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, it was, again, the goal was because of the complexity the DDB adds to this, which was discussed at the October meeting, that the easiest way to move forward was without that level
All
of
very
complexity.
valid, but we should be consulted because we're the elected body that's actually heading this. So we should be consulted, not told that this is going to happen or how it's going to be. Okay, anyway, that's all I want to say about it.
Okay, if you want to see my rock and roll songs, click right on this guitar. And if you want to see a different one of my videos, oh, Auntie Mama Love, then you could click right inside here. If you have subscribed or not, subscribe right here. Bye.